And we are live. Hello, Jen. Hello, Cripps.
Hello.
Hello, live.
I hope you had a Shabbat Shalom. I hope you had a good Sabbath, a good day today.
It's been a good day.
Yeah.
We're listening to a little bit of Derby Jack. Derby had a music stream a little while ago, and I hope everybody will go check that replay. God bless the stream, everyone who watches, lurks, and catches that replay. Jesus loves you, so do I. Hello, it's Johnny Smallpepper. Hello, Johnny. And
Hey,
the
Johnny.
art of handmade dolls and stuff. It's Anne. Hello. Thank you for coming in, you guys. For those you don't know, Cripps, that's Jason. That is Jen's husband. And I do True Story Live talk show with them and our friend Glenn from Australia every Sunday on the True Story Live channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But tonight, they're going to hang out with me. We're going to have fun with our art. We're going to talk about this and that, all things truth related. Could be flat Earth, could be Tartaria, could be mud flood, could be the Great Reset, could be CERN and Mandela effect. It could be who knows where it might go. But we're going to have a good conversation tonight. Anti-Satan, pro-life. Oh my goodness. You paint a new landscape. That's awesome. There's Derby. Hey, Derby, you know this guy. Jen, say hello to Anti-Satan Pro-Life. I fell in love with that channel just by their name.
Hey, I like it too.
Anti-Satan. Who better to have a moderator than Anti-Satan? I miss you, Anti-Satan. Where you been? I need to take a drink of my soda. If you are in blue and you want to drop the links to your channel, what you've been up to lately, Derby dropped that link to your wonderful music stream you just had. You go ahead and do that. If you have a channel you want to share and shout out, or somebody with good information, especially truthful information, you go ahead and share that out. Mystic Knight, the fam, hello. Good to see you. Oh, you're Groot. Yeah, you're not Groot. We know Groot, and he's not here. Busy with life in Florida. I know. I miss you, Anti-Satan. Let's hear that one more time. Keeping with tonight's theme, truther subjects, things that us truthers like to talk about, I'm doing the portrait of Stanley Kubrick as he confesses to filming the moon landing. A subject near and dear to my heart. Detective Gomez. Well, hello, Detective. You know Anti-Satan. That's so cool. Look, Detective Gomez, I got my What's Truth sticker, Southside Gang Gang Worldwide. Well, how cool is that to have What's Truth sticker on my pencil caddy? Thank you, everybody, for being here. Floyd Bingo's in the stream here somewhere. I told him to come on up. Pardon me, I'm going to start sketching here.
Sketch away.
We'll just see who rolls on in, and then we'll start having our little conversation here presently. Thank you, Derby. True Story Live, that is Cripps, that is Jason, that is Jen's husband. What a great couple of guys he is, yeah.
Right in the center. Now, one of these times, I'm going to have to get one of my envelopes that I do for Jen and do a random design on an envelope.
Yes.
I saw Jen was sneaky and sent us the picture of your artwork, and I loved it. It reminded me a little bit like Funko Pop.
Yes.
It was very cool. Had a real kitschy kind of campy feel to it. It was really cool.
Well, truth be known, I actually looked up a video on how to draw a birthday cake, and I just thought it was a son and daughter that do lots of drawings, and I thought it was so cute. So I followed the instructions, and that's what the result was.
Very cool.
It was very cute indeed, and it was very illustrative, and I can't wait to see you do some other things. Having fun with your art, Jason, really.
Well, thank you. So this might be helpful for someone. So I really enjoyed doing art when I was young. And my parents didn't discourage me or anything like that. They didn't encourage me either. And I drew all kinds of stuff. I drew, like nature stuff. I would just sit outside and draw what I saw. And I
Yeah.
drew. I loved drawing Christmas trees and Christmas presents under the tree, and when decorations were up, and I would just sit in
Right.
the room and copy things. The biggest frustration I had is I wanted to draw like people, and they always ended up looking like cartoons to me. And like I wanted to have it look like a comic book, like a graphic comic or even mainstream comics.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
never, I just never could. I practiced, like I got a trace paper, and I took several of my comic books and I traced them, hoping that it would give me an idea of what it could do. But when I tried to draw it on its own, it just never matched. So at some point, I just said, well, it's not my talent. But when Jen and I met, and I started doing the envelopes, writing her letters and stuff, and I didn't want to just make a plain envelope, so I just started doodling, really.
Yeah.
And sometimes I was kind of impressed with the way it turned out. Nothing was perfect, symmetrical and all that, but I
Yeah.
just came up with different designs. And how many, Jen, how many letters would you say, how many drawings do you have done?
Maybe like 60? Maybe
Wow,
more than
that's
that?
a lot.
I think it's more like 100, but I don't know. It could be 60.
Hello, Inspire So Many. Derby says he's in the doghouse on his ministry channel, the ScrewTube. There's Krista, hashtag Pineapple Pizza Pervert Nation. Yeah, I know you are. That's your tribe, not mine. Hello, Steen Bean. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Again, if you're in blue and you want to drop links to your channels, what you've been up to lately, you certainly feel free to do that. Who is Cripps? That is Jason. That is True Story Live. That is Jen's husband, who we do the True Story Live talk show every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the True Story Live channel. We do a little truther chat tonight. God knows we could talk about Tartaria. We could be talking about Flat Earth. We could be talking about cryptids, the reset, CERN, Mandela, you name it. I'm sure we'll touch on something here real soon. Let's see who else comes in. Oh, I know, Floyd. It is amazing. There's Tony's Coffee House. Hello. Good to see you, Tony.
Tony's Coffee House. Pineapple Pizza Pervert Nation.
That's what I got up in my world, is a bunch of pineapple pizza perverts.
That's fantastic.
That's what they are.
Hello to Professional Paranormal Research. Welcome.
Professional Paranormal Research. Dustin, hello. How are you? He'll always be JBD Camel Man to me. How you doing? There's Okie Grower. Hi, Okie. Hi, Raj. Hello, Denise. Thank you for coming in. Pardon me just a minute. Excuse me. I still got a little bit of a tickle in my throat. Getting over that cold real well, though. Thank you so much. In keeping with our truther theme tonight, I am painting a portrait of Stanley Kubrick as he confesses to filming the moon landing. That's what I'm doing. Oh, there's the artist formerly known as Crackhead Willie, Sister Willie. Hey, Sister Willie, how are you, honey?
So
if anybody... Oh, thank you, Denise. There's Bobby. Hey, Bobby. If anybody has prayer requests, let's get this out right now. I'm happy to pray for you. In the name of Jesus, if you want to give me a prayer request here in the chat, you can. If you want to put them in my email's in the description. And if one of my moderators could grab my information from the description and put it in the chat, please and thank you. That would help me and please me greatly. Thank you so much. Please and thank you.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah, it won't let me on my phone.
I got you.
So just let me know if you have a prayer request. Come on in, scoot down, make some room. Make some room. There's room enough for everybody. How you doing, Sister Willie? Prayer request for depression, pain in your heart, and healing. Pray for you. Certainly, I will add you to the prayer request list, Denise. A lot of people give me requests and remain anonymous, and we can do that too. So don't worry about that. We got a lot of people who like to pray for you anonymously. All right, thank you. We've got Mr. Stevie Ricks.
Your information?
No problem, Denise. Wherever two or more are gathered in his name, there he is in our midst. I'm going to thank you, Floyd. I'm going to just work on my thing. Jen's doing her thing. Jason, you want to start the ball rolling with whatever part of the rabbit hole you want to go down? Let's do it. I'll turn this down a little bit. Sure. Lead it off like you do on True Story Live, and we'll jump in when we jump in.
Saturday. Well, we talked off air about discussing first the possible soft disclosure of alien. I'm doing air quotes. Nobody can see. Alien invasion.
Yep.
Talked about that. Is that still something you want to talk about?
Oh, we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
We can go anywhere. All this stuff is tied together, believe it or not. So we can go anywhere and jump off to anywhere.
Okay, so
thanks everybody for being here.
I'll just present what
Okay, Steam Bean, have a great evening. Sorry if I cut into you. Just got to greet people and say goodbye. Thank you for coming, Steam Bean. God bless you, honey. Tonight, I am drawing and painting a portrait of Stanley Kubrick as he confesses to filming the moon landing. All right, Jason, take it away, man.
Yeah, so I feel like what they're about to do, and when I say that, they have been in movies and TV shows presenting the idea of an alien invasion. I mean, they've been doing this for years. And they even did it before the supposed moon landing.
Oh, haven't they?
On radio. Everyone will remember the War of the Worlds, the H.G. Wells broadcast where allegedly people killed themselves because it was so real they didn't catch the beginning of the radio program, which clearly stated that it was
entertainment. Yeah,
it was entertainment. It wasn't really happening. But they didn't announce it again, and then so apparently there were some suicides because they thought that this was real. People were so supposedly frightened. Now I don't know if that's true or not, or if that was something that was made up as well.
I had heard that too. Yeah, I'd heard that too.
Right.
Hang in there, Krista.
Okie Grower says that War of the Worlds was a test. And yes, they test us all the time to see where we are, how ready we are to accept whatever they're about to reveal. And now even the mainstream news has shown some video, supposedly from the military, the Air Force, of an unidentified flying object hovering in the air and moving at incredible speeds. And that's on the regular quote unquote national news that they've shown this. On top of that, there are on social media many videos of hanging lights that move, things in the sky that can't be explained. There's been what looks like to me like a comet with something inside it. All kinds of stuff. So, and these are from amateur
People that are
video.
just driving.
What's that, Jen?
People that are just driving.
Yeah, just
dash cam footage.
exactly. So that's not on the national news generally. I mean, they control everything and they decide what people can see. But on social media, sometimes these videos pop up of this stuff. Now, if we go just by the movies and TV shows, I mean, there's all kinds of storylines that have been put out there. Some of them include, friendly Martians that integrate into society, like Starman. There's a movie that came out in the 80s with, I think it was Jeff Bridges, if I remember correctly. And it was a decent movie. I remember seeing that when I was younger. And that's the kind of vein that went in. This guy, falls to Earth. And he befriends, some of the residents, and they stick up for him. And then the government hears about him. He has special powers and whatnot. So of course they want to capture him and test on him. Same as like E.T. Everyone knows about E.T., the popular movie where extraterrestrial comes down, befriends the kid, Reese's Pieces, and they fly across the moon and whatnot. And of course, the government gets involved, and they want to, they set up around the house, and they want to capture this creature for testing and whatnot. They help the creature get away and get back home. So there are plenty of movies and TV shows that have represented this. And a lot of people think that they're getting ready to tell us something. And
right.
I don't believe that there are extraterrestrials. I believe they're dimensional beings. I believe that
too. I believe they're very real, but they're not what we were told exactly.
Right. No, I believe they're real. I believe that abductions and all these stories, there's too many of them for me to think that it's just, crackpots making it up in their head that they're seeing these things. And I also believe that they have been giving us technology for many, many years.
Oh, exactly. I believe that too.
In exchange to allow them to take these people and to experiment on them. And I also believe that they are impregnating them with their genetic material. And I don't know what they're doing with the children that are born of these infestations, but that's part of the deal. We give you technology, and you let us, take some people now and then.
Exactly.
I could be wrong about that, but that's what I think. So what are your views, either Jen or Marisa? I don't want to just,
Go ahead, Jen.
I agree. I think you're right. I think they're dimensional beings. I think that they've been allowed to take people, whether for breeders or experiments. I've read a lot of books, and it's interesting to me that there's a connection between cryptids, alien abductions, and demonic possessions. There's like lights, there's different kinds of experiments, there's sulfur. People smell sulfur. I've heard, not every story, but I've heard some with cryptids with sulfur smells. You hear that with possessions, like hauntings and stuff. And also people that have had alien abductions or encounters, which is fascinating. And then the times that this stuff happens. I mean, it's not consistent 100% across the board, but the times that people have hauntings where so-called demonic spirits come out, and then when abductions are happening as well, it's lost time. It's crazy, some of the similarities through the three of these things.
Right.
So when you piece them together, it's just fascinating. What do you think, Marisa?
Oki says dimensional beings. Well, what I believe is that spirits are indeed interdimensional. If you consider that our plane of existence in the physical world that we know is one dimension, well, I mean, not one dimensional, but is indeed its own dimension. Consider, if you will, that the spiritual beings dwell in a separate dimension a lot of the time because we can't see them. I mean, some of us can see things and see entities and things like that or sense them. Certainly, there's sensitive people like that. But I'm just saying, for the most part, most of humanity can't see the spiritual beings from the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I'm saying interdimensional. Jen and Jason can certainly answer for themselves what they interpret as interdimensional, but I'd say that qualifies.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's
Hello, Andrew, Big Tim. Thanks for coming in, Big Tim. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I just was going to say, agree with you. I think there are other dimensions that most of us can't see or access. I'm fascinated by this whole portal thing. You hear these stories of cryptids just disappearing, or I think I mentioned this on another art stream, but I read this story and it was in a cryptid, like a Bigfoot book, of just different encounters, and they were saying the lights were in a way attached to the UFOs, but also the Sasquatch. And there's a lot of people that have seen lights in the woods. Usually they don't report it because they just think it's a little too weird and they don't want to be judged. Now they're already being judged because they're, reporting a Sasquatch encounter, but they're like, oh, the lights, that's just going a little too far.
Right.
But they are connected, I think.
Yeah. Yes, and that's not the only one who feels that way. You're not the only one who's discovered that in their research. I've discovered the same thing. Yeah. Just as a sidebar, I'd like to refer people to one of my favorite Christian researchers who looks into things like cryptids and all kinds of interdimensional beings from a biblical perspective. Gary Wayne. The name of his book, his website, and his channel is called Genesis 6 Conspiracy. And I'm friends with Gary on Twitter. And he's been a guest on many places, including Richie from Boston back in the day there. So the man knows his stuff. He's done his homework. Please, he'll answer. His book is like a reference book. It's not a dry technical read book. Anybody could pick it up and, it'd make a great bathroom book, really, I think.
Yeah.
Just at a moment's notice, just pick a page and get some good information. Yeah. But according to Gary Wayne's research, he has determined that Sasquatch, the things that look like gray aliens, and fair folk are all belonging in the same subcategory of Nephilim hybrids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and given by that line of thinking, if they are indeed descended from an angelic, fallen angelic, that would indeed give them, logically, the supernatural powers of phase shifting, shape shifting, traveling here or there, cloaking, you name it, all those magically seeming magical abilities. Well, there's the reason why. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I agree with Mr. Gary Wayne on that, and I know there are a lot of other people that do as well. So, okay, that being said, go right ahead.
Jen, did you want to say more about portals? Because I have a few things to add to that.
I don't, but go ahead and add, please.
Okay, so this ties into also what Marisa was saying about Sasquatch and cryptids and all that stuff, because there's a lot of stories of people that just disappeared, in national parks and in close to the woods, all kinds of stories. They're all over the place, dating back to 1800s, like people being the kids playing on a path and, they're together the whole time. And then one of the kids turns away for a second and the other child is just gone. They were there and then they're gone. There are other stories where the kid disappears out of an area. They search for him for several days. And then the kid reappears, sometimes unhurt, with no memory of where they were for 3 days.
Yeah.
In a completely different area. So I think, just like what both of you are saying, I think they're able to come from their dimension into our dimension, grab someone, and then take them away. Of course, they can't find them in this dimension. They're in the other place. I don't know
Exactly.
why they I don't know why they would return them after they do whatever it is they're going to do, but sometimes that does happen. They do get returned and they don't remember where they were. And again, these are stories that have been written down from 200 years ago, 200 plus years ago.
I don't know if you guys can see this. This particular book is amazing.
Oh, cool.
Ancient Aliens and Other Unsolved Mysteries of the Past.
Oh, there you go.
They've got stories from the 1800s, even further back. And it's pretty much encounter stories of UFOs.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how far back these particular stories go. It's insane.
Yeah. So, Jen, what's the name of that book? Because there's a guy that wrote a book, something 411. It's
David Paulides?
Missing
Yes.
411, right?
Thank you. Yes, that's correct.
So this is by a gentleman named Otto Binder, and it's Ancient Aliens and Other Unsolved Mysteries of the Past.
Right. The other one that I'm referring to it's similar. I don't know how far back they go, but he has tried. This guy noticed that I think it's specifically in these national parks.
Yes.
So he has compiled all these stories of disappearances in the parks. Now, it's not a stretch to me. I mean, if they are dimensional, they can go anywhere. It makes sense that they would do that in national parks because it's not, it's not a huge area like a city or something like that. But people are always going into those places, and a lot of times they're isolated.
Yeah.
So it would be easy
Right.
to take someone. Maybe they're with one or two other people, or take them at night. There have been times when is sleeping out in a tent that the tent was cut, and of course the first thing they think is they were abducted by a malicious, like serial killer, and sometimes that does happen as well.
Sometimes a bear. They think it's just a bear.
A bear, yeah, exactly. But this is so frequent. It's not just like a couple stories. It's like there's a lot of stories about things like this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else they could do it other than them being able to travel through the different dimensions.
Yeah, through like time.
Right. Well, even if it's not, good. Even if it's not time, if it is just, as Marisa was suggesting, they're in another dimension and all they have to do is cross over into ours and then scoot on back across, and we can't follow. We can't travel that.
We don't have the ability.
Right.
Hold on a minute. Hello, Wisconsin, Greg. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, Greg.
Anyway, do go on. We're just having a little chit chat here. Again, if anybody has their own point of view and they want to interject into the chat, certainly, like on True Story Live, we welcome that. But we're just using this format for our discussion to talk about our points of view concerning this. So,
I definitely.
This is not meant to make anybody believe anything. And I'm glad that Jason's tribute to the conversation, just like on True Story Live, is more than welcome. That being said, please continue, Jason.
Sure. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So this idea of a soft reveal, so to speak, of this invasion, there was a series when I was younger in the mid 80s called V, which was,
I remember that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a mini series telling the story of an alien invasion, and of course they were basically lizard aliens that had a
exactly.
covering. And I think
we'll talk about that lizard connection here in a little while. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But there's a reason for seeing all these serpentine things, lizards, reptilians.
Ooh, I
We'll
want to
talk about that. There
Why?
is a very distinct reason why the reptilian theme, whether it's dragons, dinosaurs, reptilians, has been repeated and repeated. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But hello, Marilyn. Good to see you. Welcome.
Now you got me on the edge of my seat, Marisa.
Well, we can
It's
jump
really quite a
around.
simple explanation, but do go on first. Go on.
No. Let's jump around a little bit. That's totally fine with me. I'll remember what we were talking about, the alien. I just mentioned V. I won't forget that. So go ahead.
For those who are of the Christian faith and have studied their scripture, particularly the Old Testament, particularly where it discusses the different types of angelic beings, the seraphim, one of the highest orders of angelic beings, their true form is of a serpent, is serpentine, reptilian. Look that up. If I had the scripture verse right in front of me, if someone wants to Google it, go for it. Google seraphim and inquire as to what they look like, and you will see I am telling you the truth. The cherubim are the ones that have like 4 faces. I can't remember them all. One's a man, one's a bull, one's a this, one's a that. I can't remember. But the seraphim are the ones that are also that were the fallen angels were of the seraphim class. And that means their line, their seed had that serpentine reptilian quality to it. So think about that when you think about dinosaurs, when you think about dragons, when you think about sea serpents and other creatures and beings, when you think about people who are accused of being of reptilian bloodline. You know, whether you want to believe that or not. I tend to believe that there are people of a fallen angelic, aka reptilian bloodline descent. So there you go. That's where all of that reptile talk comes from Quetzalcoatl to you name it. Anything reptile, there you go. Fallen angel, seraphim, true nature, true form is of a reptilian serpent type nature. Go look it up. That's telling you the truth. All right, go ahead.
I'm liking what
the
you're
cherubim
doing.
The cherubim are the ones that have like 4 faces. The seraphim are the ones that look like a reptile.
Right.
Like a lizard, yeah.
Right. So taking that a step further, there are some that believe that the people that rule this world are that's what they are. They're lizard. I mean, for lack of a better term, and you call them seraphim, that's probably more accurate, but they're essentially lizard people with a human mask on.
Right.
Or a shapeshift.
Of fallen angelic bloodline, which gives them that reptilian quality.
Right. And that, see, this ties right in. All this stuff, as you said earlier, Marisa, ties into
it certainly does.
And that's what V was representing. They were representing.
V was representing, right? This isn't just crazy Marisa making this stuff up. No, this is stuff that's been talked about and researched many times.
Another one in that same vein was a popular movie called They Live.
Yes, They Live.
That movie went into even more detail than V did, even though it was just a 2-hour movie instead of a miniseries. It talked about the people in power being, it was.
Hey, What's Truth? Sorry, I got to shout out What's Truth. Woo! There's What's Truth right there. Southside Gang Worldwide. Woo, woo, woo. Thanks for coming by, What's Truth. We're talking some truth here at What's Truth. Welcome to the stream. All right. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. We're asking the question, what is truth, aren't we? I suppose. They Live.
What a great stream. Yeah.
They Live. They weren't as much lizard people. They look kind of like skeletons with a little bit of flesh still on their face, but you could only see them with a special pair of glasses. They look like normal humans.
Right.
Until you put the glasses on. And also when you put the glasses on, all the money and the magazines and the books that you see all had secret messages
Yeah.
in them.
Propaganda.
Oh yeah, consume.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Obey.
Now, this one comes a little close to home. This is actually partially based in truth, at least, because, again, this is not a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. Some of it's theory. I've never seen a lizard person up close and personal, but
you may not know if you have. That's just the damn point right there.
Exactly. But they did in the late 60s, early 70s. At the end of the day, there was on the television, there was a end of day broadcast kind of thing, which usually was the national anthem with planes flying around and the picture of the Statue of Liberty and whatnot, certain images.
Right.
They found out later, again, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is, you can look it up and you can find this. And in between the clips, there were these secret messages, obey, trust the government, the government's your friend, things like that. So you couldn't see it if you were just watching it. But when they slowed it down in between frames, these messages were put there. So you can imagine this was at the end of the day, 2 a.m. or 12, whatever time it was, and someone's half asleep sitting in their recliner, and they're, looking at this screen, partially out of it in a sort of hypnotic state. And there are all these messages that their subconscious is picking up on. They've been doing this for years. In the music that they pump into malls and grocery stores and things like that, they have subliminal messages, similar to the one in They Live, consume, buy, things like that.
Crazy.
So,
Okie, I'm sorry, let me just interject. Okie, I would tend to agree with you about a discerning spirit. It's important to pray for discernment, but that does not mean we are infallible to having the wool pulled over our eyes, because the enemy's clever and they can be disguised as many things. So, I mean, it's not like, we can't ever be duped by a very clever disguise sometimes, and I think that's exactly what's been going on. So. But I agree with you. Okay, pray for discernment, certainly. All right, sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. On that point, I agree with what Maurice's saying. I also agree with Okie Grower, too. I mean, a discerning spirit. I think that anyone that's a believer especially should pray for a more discerning spirit. The only thing that we can't be deceived on 100% is what Jesus talked about as the Antichrist. It says that the deception that God gives is so real and so deceptive.
Yeah.
That if it were possible,
even if the days were not shortened, even the very elect would be. Hello, Groot. This is where you come at the right night. Groot is a friend of mine from Richie from Boston days. Groot, say hello to my dear friend Jenn and her husband Jason. That's Cripps up here. We do True Story Live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the channel True Story Live. Groot, good to see you.
I am Groot.
Hello, Groot.
Somebody just said they were you. Somebody just said they were Groot earlier.
I am Groot. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, what's truth? I was a moderator for Richie on his primary and RFB2. Back in the day, before he got booted. Well, actually, he got locked out of his channels. So
that stinks.
How do you get locked out of his channel? How does that happen?
Well, tell me, and then I'll go tell him. So.
Oh, I thought maybe I thought there was a story.
No, he had received notice from YouTube that after his channel's getting. Because he's a truther, certainly Christian truther, so he got hit.
Sure.
But he got word from YouTube that, hey, you're back up and go back into your channels and everything's good and blah, blah, blah. And he can't get into them. He can't access them. I guess his videos and stuff are still there, but he can't get into them.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah, it
thanks,
does
you
stink. Yep.
jerks.
That's ridiculous.
Anyway, thank
So
you,
the-
Joseph
so it's
Field
something
official.
about-
Hello, Joseph. Good to see you. God bless you, brother. Good to see you. Come on in. What a fine conversation we're having already.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. And even if you disagree or have a different point of view, just like on True Story Live, we welcome to hear what you've got to say, as long as people can be respectful.
Yeah.
Then we have no problem with that.
Of course.
Can I read something to you guys?
Please.
Okay, so in that book I mentioned, this one is this one's from 1873. So it's titled "Vanishing Ships." Have abductions occurred wholesale at sea? Decidedly so, judging by the many ships that have vanished utterly in the past few centuries. None has been directly associated with a saucer sighting, but the possibility remains that saucer men choose to round up specimens of humanity from lonely ships at sea, where their deed would be least likely to be observed. In fact, this puts a new light on many unsolved sea mysteries. The most famous or infamous case is that of the Marie Celeste, found adrift near the Azores on December 5th, 1873. The sails were set and the ship was tacking, but there was not a soul aboard. The ship was in perfect condition. The last log entry was November 25th. It hinted at not the slightest trouble. The 14 crewmen never turned up. And then another one on November 6th of 1840. The French ship Rosalie, bound for Hamburg to Havana, was found abandoned with a valuable cargo and not the slightest clue as to what happened to the missing crew. So, I mean, even back then.
Yeah.
Hello, David Fitton, Floyd Bingo's brother. Good to see you, David.
Hey, David. What's
All
up?
right. You've got Mr. Kubrick as he's confessing to filming the moon landing.
Nice.
That's
really
I'm not going to paint that tonight, but we'll just let that sketch stand as it is for now.
That's great.
I'll show you
oh my gosh.
Here he is right there in the screenshot from the video.
Wow. Wow.
I think I got him.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. My goodness.
I think I got him.
My goodness.
I want to take my time and really start off the next time I'm painting live and just start with him right from the beginning with the paint.
Love it.
It was enough for me to do this tonight, just to do the sketch, and I've wanted to do this sketch a long time.
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
That's right. They shadow banned him, Groot. That's true. Pammy Clyde, hello, Pammy. Pammy, where it's your night, man. You want to talk about Sasquatch and Dogman? You just go right ahead.
Pammy Clyde, welcome.
Pammy's been one of my peeps for years. She's one of the faithful. One of the faithful.
Thanks, Pammy.
Welcome, Pammy Clyde. Welcome.
Do you like it? What's true? There's old Stanley. There's old Stanley. And we'll have more fun with those details when it comes time to paint them. But I think I got enough to go on. So
that looks really
good.
There's
old Stanley.
It's awesome.
Yeah, just like when I did the Olivia Newton-John, I loved the sketch, and I'm glad I got photographs and video of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to paint over it, and Floyd knows what I'm talking about. It's a little intimidating because there's no going back once you put paint on the drawing.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing. Okay, please go ahead. Do continue. Hello, everybody who's here. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If you're in blue, you want to put your links out there, please do. If you want to contribute to the conversation in a adult, civilized way, you are more than welcome. You don't have to believe what we believe, and we invite hearing what other people have to say as long as we can do it peaceably. That being said, Jason, continue.
So, since you're doing a portrait of Stanley Kubrick, we could talk about The Shining. And in The Shining, there were several hints
Yes.
about the fact that he had filmed the moon landing and that it was a hoax.
Yes.
One of them was the child in The Shining wore an Apollo sweater.
Yeah.
And also one of the rooms, I forget the number. I wish I had remembered the number of the room.
It's like 423 or I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Hold
Jenn
on,
will look-
Pammy, I got to show you.
237.
Here's
I was
Miss
way off.
Olivia. Pammy, you weren't
230.
here, I don't think, for the Olivia painting. Rest in peace. There you go. All right, you continue.
I'm just adding, since you're doing the Stanley Kubrick. I mean, there's not a whole lot about Stanley Kubrick except that he was. I believe that he did the moon landing, and then he went on to do several movies. Obviously, they gave him a little bit more status. I mean, he was a decent filmmaker. I'm not saying he was garbage or anything.
No,
But-
genius. Did fantastic work.
He was afforded, a lot of times these people that are willing to do things for them are afforded, more movie roles, and if they're an actor or directing jobs, things like that. So he was one of these people, and I think that it just really bothered him.
Yep.
He wanted credit, and I don't blame him. I mean, there were some mistakes in the moon landing. Otherwise, we may not have discovered that it was staged. But for that time, with that technology, it was amazing what they did in a desert or on a soundstage or wherever it was done. It was a pretty amazing piece of work, enough to fool millions of people. Everyone at the time.
I always wonder who was already on the moon that was holding the camera when it landed.
Exactly.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Also, Jen, who was left on the moon when they showed an image of it taking back off to come back to Earth?
Yeah.
And not just a camera on a tripod. They actually panned the camera up as they were supposedly lifting off the moon's surface.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
So,
Hey, on the topic of the moon, have you guys seen the current? I guess Buzz Aldrin's been on a couple of shows recently.
Yeah.
And he is like straight up said, it's animation.
Yep.
Or that we didn't go multiple times.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most telling things is when they had the press conference or press release when the astronauts had come back supposedly from landing on the moon, and they all look like depressed and like ashamed. They're not excited at all.
They don't
Guilty. The word is guilty. They are overcome with guilt, I think.
They don't look victorious. They don't look like people that were the first ever astronauts to land on the moon.
Nope. Sure don't.
Go ahead, Andrew. Conversate all you want. We're here to conversate. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. What's Truth says that he has slipped so many times, and he is a starlight up, or I think he probably meant straight up.
He's talking about Buzz. Yeah, he's talking about Buzz.
Yeah, he is. He wears
Buzz
the ring.
is buzzed up, I think, from all the guilt. Yeah.
There's a picture of Buzz with his doing the OK symbol, which is really the 666 symbol over his eye, and it's also the Masonic, covering one eye, the all-seeing eye thing, and he's got that Masonic ring right on his finger.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So it's truth in plain sight, folks. It just really, really is. And people don't want to believe it because they're indoctrinated. There's a globe in every classroom. There's a globe almost in every TV show and movie that they put out.
Yeah, Jason and I have a game. Whoever calls out the globe first when we see it wins.
She always wins. I'm paying attention to the storyline, and
I'm like, globe.
She
gets me. She gets me every time. And then a few times,
if you've studied film, I've taken some film class, that you learn that the director puts everything in the camera shots for a reason. There is no mistake.
Yeah.
No.
If you're catching something in a prop, in a scene, in a scenery,
Yeah.
there's a purpose to it. Absolutely.
Well, in the latest Blade Runner movie, they have a scene where there's a flat Earth map on the wall in one of the office buildings that there's a scene shot in.
Yep.
So yeah, I believe in, and I would love to hear both of your opinion on this, because it's easy to look at all these things that they put in movies, and even when they're saying a line that you're like, wow, they just said that there's no South Pole. There's a comedy movie with Ryan Reynolds in it, and he made the statement, yeah, there's no South Pole. And
Hold on a minute. Derby, good night, honey. I love you. Everybody go check out Derby's channel. Check out his music stream he did a little earlier tonight. God bless you, Derby. All right.
Night.
They blurt these things out. They blurt these lines out, and sometimes, and Jen and I have talked about it a lot, there are these storylines where it's like they're telling us the truth. And so my question has always been, why would they do that? If they're, obviously movies and TV shows are propaganda. They're trying to indoctrinate people to whatever messages that they want people to believe. But
Right.
yet there's these little pockets of truth that are in the movies. It blows my mind.
I think they do it as sort of like on the surface comedy. They want people to hear it and they're like, ha ha ha, real funny. That's not true. But then
Right.
it perpetuates the comedic value. So if someone tries to share it with someone like, hey, this is truth, you get laughed at. So I think it starts with that little comedic snide, it's like in the script where people are, people that are asleep just laugh about it.
I definitely agree with that, but I also think that there must be some sort of rule that they have to follow where they have to tell us the truth. And that's what I want to get both of your opinions on, because they do mock us. Definitely. I agree with Jen. They are definitely mocking us, but I think also that there's too much of it to just be mocking.
Yeah. What do you think, Marisa?
Exactly. I think there is an unwritten rule, or maybe even a written rule somewhere, that the enemy, the adversary, the nefarious powers that be, the devil, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call the people in power that are pulling off this deception, I think somewhere they have to put the truth out there in plain sight.
Yeah.
And even if they disguise it as comedy or parody or a joke or whatever, I think there's still a lot you can glean when you look at literature, when you look at film, when you look at art, when you listen to music, when you examine the popular culture.
Right.
There's always pieces of that in there somewhere.
Right. So in the 50s, what started to happen, they made these magazines, and there were a bunch of them, so many of them, these science fiction magazines.
Yep.
And I've read some of these stories on the channel because they're so fascinating to me how many of them that there are. And they're decent stories, but before the moon landing, supposed moon landing, they were doing this soft disclosure. They were getting people ready. In these stories, in these magazines, they're depicting space travel and other, like meeting aliens. And this is long before Star Trek. There's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of these stories. And then on old time radio as well, they started making these dramas from a lot of the stories in the magazines. Same thing. They're talking about the tilt of we can't do this because there's the tilt of the Earth, and we have to, get the correct projection window when we launch to make sure that we get to our destination, and, the time differentials and things like that. They're putting their theories out there for the masses to start accepting their model of the Earth, and also the idea that, we can travel through space, which I believe we can.
Exactly. And I do not believe that space is a vacuum. I do not believe it's what we were taught. I believe the scriptural cosmology. I believe that when Scripture says that God made the firmament and separated the waters from the waters, I believe the space above us is water. That's scriptural. That's what biblical cosmology has to say, and I stand by that absolutely, 110%.
Agreed. Agreed.
Absolutely.
And anybody who, if you think it's a vacuum, how does a ball of gas burn in a vacuum? What burns in a vacuum? If you're talking about science, then what science is it that allows for there to be fire in a vacuum?
None.
Is there an exception to that rule? I mean, that was one thing that never made sense to me. Like, are you serious?
Well,
burning balls in a vacuum, yeah, not happening.
Someone did an experiment on that, Marisa. There's a guy that created a vacuum and put a flame in there, and he showed that the flame worked perfectly fine when he didn't have the vacuum on. Right. And then he showed the same flame when the vacuum was turned on, and it would not burn. That was the very reason why he did the experiment. There are hundreds of experiments that people have done to prove that they're lying. And people watch them, they just go, "Oh, it's a trick, it's a camera trick, or it's this or it's that." But they do the same thing to us. When they did one of the SpaceX launches, there was a mouse crawling. It's supposed to be in space, and there was a little mouse crawling on the top of the engine manifold.
I remember that.
Also, there are bubbles apparently in space when people are floating around out there, and an air bubble comes up like as if they were in a body of water or something. And people see it, and they just go, "Oh, that's just a glitch."
They're like, "Oh, it's like a piece of space debris."
Oh
yeah.
It's a space.
What about that one video where they shut a door on? I guess I don't know. I don't remember which. I'm trying to remember the name. The space station. And it looked like fabric or cardboard. Like they slammed it or shut it, and it looked flimsy. It didn't look substantial at all. It's like, what in the world?
No, it's just ridiculous. It's not even good CGI. It's not even
and
good.
They're not. I don't even know where to begin. The employees of NASA will tell you straight up that every image they've ever shown of space, of the Earth particularly, is composite work, computer generated composite and artistic rendering. It's the quote is, "It's Photoshop because it has to be." Right. Go look that up, and you will find an employee of NASA who says those words. It's Photoshop because it has to be.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
Go ahead, Jen.
If you can go out into space, and if we can travel to Mars and all these other planets, even if it's like a unmanned craft that has cameras, you shouldn't need that. You shouldn't need Photoshop it. You should just be able to take a picture.
Well, they say that they can't get far enough back to get to capture the whole.
They've supposedly been to these planets like thousands of miles away, not more than that, millions of miles away.
Exactly.
Like, which one is it?
Exactly.
So let's touch on, okay, so if you are believing that space is not a vacuum and you're believing that it's water, as Scripture and other ancient apocryphal texts attest to, so then what is all this talk of planets? Well, according to the book of Enoch,
you still there?
The planets are wandering stars.
Oh.
Now, our stars that we see, those are angelic beings. I believe those are angelic beings God put into place. And they stay in place, and they rotate in a circular motion into place. They're not in a fixed position, just simply rotating like the other stars and constellations. There is a Mars, but thousands and millions of miles away. And then let's talk about the fact that I do not believe there is a continent of Antarctica, but rather the polar ice ring, the Antarctic continents we know as Earth, on the flat stationary Earth. There may but well be continents out there with the name.
Have you seen some of the names of the islands around Antarctica?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's pretty telling as well.
Look at, there's so many old maps that show the that don't show the continent of Antarctica, but they show the ring, but they show it temperate and not frozen over, with all kinds of manner of creatures and plant life.
Yeah. Well, that's what
old.
Admiral,
that's from like what, 1400s, 1500s?
Yes, correct. And that's what I can't even say
Admiral
it. Yeah, Admiral.
Admiral.
The bird is the word. He flew over the ring and he saw one of the extra continents.
Yeah.
He called it Little America.
Yeah.
On a temperate landmass.
Yeah.
An extra continent.
Yeah. And he told people back then in the 50s, he told them that there's more land and there's resources, and they're wanting us to believe that we're running out of food, we're running out of space, and it's a total lie. They're keeping us away from these extra lands, who knows why, and telling us that, oh yeah, climate control, we need to be careful because, and they do movies about it too, where catastrophes happen because of climate, and we have to find another place to live. We have to leave this place. It's just ruined, and we have to go somewhere else. Well, we don't have to go anywhere else. I believe God created this earth to sustain life. There's plenty of resources for everyone. There's plenty of food. There's plenty of land. And they want to control everything. They can't let people do what they want to do and go where they want to go. I mean, you can move within their borders from place to place, but people are like, well, I want to live off the grid. Well, you can go live off the grid, but they even have rules around that. I don't think it's entirely possible in this world to live completely off the grid without being taxed, without being harassed. I mean, there are people that have done it and they still get harassed by the government.
Exactly. And you still got the military who exercise of whatever country. Might as well call it New World Order now.
Yeah.
But military can step in anywhere, any place.
They can do on the
known earth.
Hope you're breaking, Nez.
Kick you out of it. So even at any want what you've got, they will take it.
Yep. Someone in the chat, it was Accentuate the Narrative. He was talking about the absurdity of the lost technology and it being so difficult to build back. That's one of the most ridiculous quotes.
Oh, I know that they destroyed. He said that guy from NASA said they couldn't go back to the moon because they destroyed that technology, and it'd be too painful to replicate it. What the hell kind of BS is that? Oh my goodness! Oh,
and people
believe that stuff.
Yeah.
Daddy Fish, hello. I'm sorry for the breaking up. StreamYards does that, but I think you're catching the gist of what we're talking about. God bless you, Patty. Thank you for being here.
Patty?
You got that right, Andrew.
Patty?
Got that right. For those who missed it, my portrait tonight is Stanley Kubrick from the video where he is confessing to the filming, but I did the sketch for tonight.
Now, Marisa, what do you think about that? Because you hear people say that that's fake, the confession.
I know that I've watched it several times, and I know that he's speaking with conviction. He's at the end of his life. He's got nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Really. He's lived his life. He's had his success, and he's speaking very forthrightly. He's not at all nervous. I believe he's telling the truth. Absolutely. I really do.
I believe they killed him.
I think people who carry around great secrets like him and like Buzz and in position, I think that guilt catches up to some of it, I think. When you're deceiving a whole world of people, not just a subsection, but all of humanity, that's got to be a heavy burden.
It's a great point.
I would like them, if Buzz gets an illness, that he doesn't die right away, but he's going to die. I would like them to put a camera on him and see what his deathbed confession is. I'd love to see that.
I know. I hope he does one. I really do.
Because I think he's tired. And I'm not saying he's not a Freemason. I'm not saying he didn't agree to all this stuff. He absolutely did. They all have to agree. But when you come close to the end of your life, like you said about Kubrick, what do you have to lose but to tell the truth?
Yeah. And you know what? I find it interesting that Buzz has been like on these different shows, different interviews where he's saying outrightly that it's animation, that it's not real, and that they just came out with an American Horror Story episode where one of the main blonde chicks, it's like the story of them filming the moon landing. Like I don't think it's a coincidence.
Right.
Again, that's that truth in plain sight we were talking about earlier. They disclose to us what they're doing, and then they laugh because they know that most people are not going. They're going to hear it, they're going to see it, and they're going to think, "Oh, they're just messing with us." They're not telling us the truth, Marisa.
No, they're not. No, they're not. And I think it's a spirit of pride that keeps a lot of people stuck in their programming, in their conditioning. They're so worried about being humiliated and being proven wrong than they are about being concerned about knowing the truth.
Right.
I would rather know the truth. I don't care who thinks.
Right.
But yeah.
I was wrong.
I don't even care that, to say that I was wrong and I believed it hook, line, and sinker. I think some people don't want to deal with that kind of letting go of pride either.
Right.
I
was wrong. I'm happy to admit it. I
was wrong too. When Diana's dad and I realized flat Earth, for example. I mean, I talked about this with Cripps privately. It was a release. I didn't feel humiliated. I wasn't ashamed to consider that maybe just for a moment, oh my God, it's flat. We're under a dome. We're in God's terrarium. All of this has been nonsense. I felt a sense of relief. I didn't feel humiliated. Yeah. I didn't feel ashamed to believe what I had come to believe.
Right.
For me, it was a release and very, very liberating.
Yes. It's freedom. Jesus said, the truth, you shall know the truth will make you free. And yes, he's talking about salvation, no doubt about it, okay? But a lot of times when they're talking about salvation, it does apply to other things. Truth is truth.
Jesus had a way of wrapping up several things in just one parable or one phrase, multi-layers.
Yes. And
in his teaching, certainly.
Exactly. And he spoke in parables for the people that would refuse to listen, but for us, for the Holy Spirit to use to teach us discernment, and we can pick up on these messages that are all throughout Scripture. And that's
Right.
one of them. You shall know the truth. The truth will make you free.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
what Maurice is talking about. When he opens your eyes and ears, the first thing that I went through was just, I was incredulous at first. And that's why I looked it up, because I heard someone say that there were actually people out there that believed that the earth was flat or motionless. I don't like to call it flat earth because, you know, it has mountains and valleys, and the topography of the earth is not flat. That's not what we're saying. It is motionless, according to scripture. It is set on pillars, and there is a dome affixed over it with
Well,
water.
yeah, but I mean as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is I prefer to say geocentric rather than heliocentric. Their model is heliocentric. Everything spins around the sun, and that's not true. Everything
Right.
spins above us. Anything that moves above us in the sky, while
Like a
we remain stationary. What'd you say,
Yeah.
Jen?
I said like a large watch or a clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's God's calendar.
if anyone well, yes, it's a calendar. It's for people on the ocean to be able to use the stars to know where they're going,
Which
I
they've done
mean,
forever.
which they have done forever. How can they navigate using the stars if the stars are moving and we're spinning through space at thousands of miles per hour?
Right. And how would the constellations stay the same? Exactly. If you're
Exactly.
spinning and moving, then you're never going to see the same thing up there but a blur.
Exactly.
That's
And
just
I don't
crazy.
see a blur, do you? I do
No.
not.
Nope.
Polaris never moves.
Right.
Polaris has never moved. Polaris is always there.
Right.
You know, for me, when I discovered it, because Jason and I hadn't met, we actually met in a Flat Earth Christian group on Facebook. But when I found out, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, like at 2 a.m, I watched this documentary that was like 3 hours long. And I was so shocked. And I realized that my whole life up until that point, I was holding the Bible up to science
Yeah.
instead of holding science up to the Bible.
Yes.
It blew my mind.
Exactly.
That's what they train us to do.
And the most
unfortunately,
appealing thing about the most appealing thing about science, as mainstream refers to it, for people who don't have a belief in God, is the fact that science doesn't require a belief in God. Science does not, as mainstream does science. Now, again, we talked about science earlier. Real science tells you that, fire doesn't burn in a vacuum. Their science tells you that fire burns in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Now, come on. Not hard
Do you know
to find the lie there.
It takes more faith to believe that we came from nothing and a big bang than it takes to believe in God, I believe.
agreed.
Right.
My opinion.
Absolutely. I believe that too.
I heard this once, because
But a good one. A good one, nonetheless.
I heard this once when someone was fighting a believer when I was a kid was fighting against the Big Bang. He wasn't saying the earth was flat or anything like that, but he was fighting against the Big Bang. And he had an analogy that I never forgot. He said, if you take any mechanical item like a clock or a watch or whatever, and you take it apart, not break it necessarily, but take it all apart, put it in a box, put it at the top of your closet, and leave it there for 1,000,000 years. When you go back into that closet and pull that box out and look inside it, whatever it was that you put in there that was disassembled is not going to put itself back together again. It's just not ever going to happen.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'm starting to run low on my power here, so I'm going to wrap this up for tonight.
Sure.
Well, we just get started and we could just go and go, couldn't we?
Well, we
Thank
could.
you, everybody, for being your hashtag no fear at any time on or off the tubes. Remember to love one another, even those people that are difficult to love. They need it the most. Keep praying for one another. Forgive everybody else. Forgive yourself, and tell someone you love them before you go to bed tonight. Your homework's always the same, but it's always important. Thank you, everybody, for coming here. I love you. God bless you. God willing, we'll see each other again real soon. Jen, Jason, thank you so much. I got to get going here before the phone clicks out because it's really, really low.
Yes.
But we've had a great conversation. Next time, I'll make sure our phone's charged up and we'll have a little more time. But thank you so much. I love you, Greg. Love you, Patty. Love you, everybody. Thank you, Day One. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you. And I hope to see at least some of you come by True Story Live tomorrow. I'll do a promo 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where you'll see me, Jason, Jen, and our friend Glenn from Australia. And I don't know what we're talking about, but I know we're going to have a good discussion, and you're welcome to join in.
Triggers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about triggers. Oh, boy, that'll be fun. I love you guys. God bless you. And thank you for being here. And thanks for without it turning into an argument and a big fight and a bunch of drama. Thank you for being patient and tolerant of each other. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good rest of the day and rest of the night wherever you're at. God willing, we'll see each other again here real soon. And I love you, and I love you, Billy. Watch it take me 20 minutes to end the stream.